Hello, and welcome to part two, Beacon of Hope Friday special edition. Here we are on part two, and I'm so excited to be hosting my guest once again. It is Beacon of Hope Friday special edition, our program which we love so much, where we visit different topics, particularly involving us in the diaspora. And guess what? I am so excited because our topic today is part two of men in diaspora. And we are particularly looking at the challenges that our men in diaspora face. It's an open talk because we saw that last time, we saw that men are left behind in so many issues. We don't involve our men. They are kind of the forgotten species. We talk so much about the women, we talk so much about the children, particularly in the diaspora, but we forget. Without these men, we wouldn't be. We need them and we need to talk about it openly. So it's been an open discussion, it's been an open talk where men speak up, where men are learning to come out in the open, where we are discussing the challenges that our men face. Because at the end of the day, they're our men. We need to know how to handle each other so that we can live in a comfortable environment. So tonight, once again, we are welcoming our guest once again, who was really a public demand. There was so much that he gave us that most of us were shocked to learn the challenges that our men go through in silence. Most of them don't even talk about it. So we decided, you know what? It's about time we came out in the open. It's about time we discussed this. It's about time we shared and see where have we failed? Where have we gone wrong? What needs to be corrected? How can we support each other? So our topic again is diaspora, the men in diaspora, and particularly our Kenyan men, because we can only talk about what we know, our own men. So I invite you, and if you're already here, kindly share, click that button, share. We are also live on YouTube. Our channel is Beacon of Hope Beacon. If you can go there, I'd really appreciate. If you're already on Facebook, it will be an honor if you could share and get other people to come online to share, to join and learn so that we can all share. I always tell people that no one knows everything. You've got something that I do not know. I've got something that you do not know. And so once we share, we become a community. We share, we support each other. And that is the main reason why we come here. And before I proceed, happy Easter weekend. Happy Good Friday. For us Christians, today is a very, very special day in the history of Christians. In our calendar, it is the time we celebrate the death of Jesus Christ on the cross. And it is that blood and the death of Jesus that brings us back to life again. So it's happy Easter weekend for those of us who are celebrating. We are off. I've just had my second COVID dose. Glory to God, I'm good. I've just had it less than an hour ago, and here I am live. So what does that mean? Those of you who are fearing, come over and ask me. I know, I've been there. Right, and without further much ado, and I believe you've already shared, you've already invited people, I'm going to bring my guest. Yes, Messi Mwenje, happy Easter. We are all the way in Scotland today. Our guest from Scotland, Mercy, you better share. You better invite people and tell them we are here. And tonight I'm challenging people. Peter, come Joe, invite men. Invite all the men. We need to come and share. It's an open talk. Nothing to hide. We're discussing about men. So my challenge tonight is, can we have more men invited? Can we invite more men? Can we have all these men come so that we can talk about the challenges that they go through? How can we overcome this? What is it that is really men are going through in the diaspora, and particularly, I repeat again, particularly our Kenyan men. And without much further ado, I'm going to bring in my guest tonight. And here he goes. Good evening.
Jambo.
Jambo, jambo. Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Good Friday. Today is the
Oh,
day.
happy Good Friday. Nimefurahi sana kukuona.
Hey.
And looking forward to another episode, another session. We had a beautiful time last week and a lot of learning. And I once again give a disclaimer. I tell people that Ndungu doesn't know everything, but he shares what he knows. He shares what he has gone through as a Kenyan man living in the diaspora, and a Kenyan man who meets with people, as a Kenyan man who has grown up sons who are married. So he shares that experience so that we can see where we need to improve. So karibu sana Bwana Ndungu, karibu. And for the new people, could you just introduce yourself briefly, please?
Okay, hamjambo. It's my pleasure again to grace this particular show. My name is Matthew Ndungu. I live in Scotland. I'm a father of many, a grandfather of many. I have spent a considerable amount of time in this part of the world, and I know quite a lot of people I have met and dealt with a lot of people on different issues. So I feel that at my age and with my experience, I am qualified to share or to discuss or to offer an opinion or even a suggestion that might help or develop or improve our situations, especially in terms of the discussions around men and the boy child. I feel in that aspect. So thank you very much for welcoming me.
Wow, once again, it's Matthew Ndungu all the way from Scotland, who is our guest once again on episode 2 or part 2 of our program on challenges Kenyan African men in diaspora face. Bwana Ndungu, would you like to just quickly revisit part of what you told us last week so that anybody who is coming today may just catch up with that? You broke down very well the kind of men we are talking about, and that was very clear for everybody. Would you like to just briefly revisit that place?
Okay, yeah, last time we had a session, we discussed or we touched on a few items in terms of what I considered to be the main issues in terms of challenges for the man, the boy child, and the boy child includes in this particular case, given the age dichotomy of the challenges, we included the boy baby, the boy youth, and the boy old man. And for that, we tried to break down the challenges that the different age groups might be facing. And we had a bit of a look at the kind of issues that would affect them. We discussed the disparities of age. We discussed problems with documentation, problems with language, problems with acculturation. We discussed the criminalization of the black African man. We discussed the concepts of poverty, and we went on to try and touch on a few possible recommendations or a few possible solutions that could be put in place, or that possible solutions for the challenges that we were facing. So that's as far as we were able to go. We were not able to discuss in any great detail the various aspects, but that's how far we were able to go.
Right. Thank you so much. I can see, just like we were discussing, Bwana Ndungu did say clearly that he's a grandfather of 15. So you can see them around, which is the joy of every parent. You can see he's got them all around in the house. Yeah, he's moving up and down, which is part of what we have to do. Now, we have had the dichotomy, the segmenting of the male child that we have. And I'll ask Bwana Ndungu to kind of once again explain very, very briefly the challenges that he knows that most of our men face and the reasons why I remember he said some of the challenges that he gave was like not having enough documentation. You know, men, or some of them are very well educated, but they end up doing jobs that they wouldn't really be doing at home. They've got degrees. Some of them, you know, very highly qualified. Would you quickly just go through that? You know, some of the challenges, because I'm saying this to catch up on where we were last week.
Okay, yeah, in that respect, we had briefly covered the area of the initial African man immigrant who arrives in this part of the world full of dreams and hopes, and then they start to face different hurdles and different problems in their journey. And it begins with probably having the correct documentation. It also touches a bit on whether they have their qualifications are comparable with whatever, with the local framework of qualifications. And there is also the concept of whether you have the right or don't have the right to work, the concept of whether you are actually competent and confident to engage in the task which you consider to be your vocation or your career. And in many respects, that is a big, big challenge, much, much bigger than we can discuss here, because we have had cases of people who are professors or lecturers in universities coming to do security work. We have had cases of doctors and people in other things coming and doing other lesser tasks than they actually qualified for, because their qualifications either don't completely compare, or their opportunities or their circumstances in life do not enable them to have the correct paperwork with which to work. But they still have to work and provide for their families, either here or at home, and they end up doing things which they don't normally or normally shouldn't be doing. And it's a big challenge for that particular category of the men in the diaspora.
Yeah.
And a challenge that we had last time mentioned would require some sort of external intervention or support to diffuse that toxic combination of frustration and especially of poor income, which really can also mother a lot of other problems along the journey.
Yeah.
We had also briefly mentioned the social issues that come up within the family setup. Things do sometimes tend to get very challenging in the family environment, where you have arrived with a certain mood or a certain cultural expectation, only to be met by a different cultural experience that seems to make you a little bit more powerless in your own domestic environment.
That's right.
And many challenges have been born in that aspect. And sadly, I dare say many of our homes have also been affected by those disparities. That is also a very big challenge, because it does ruin your life, and it does ruin everything that you valued and everything that you held dear to you. And it also puts you in a very demeaning situation, meaning where you question yourself as to whether you really are good enough, or whether you are suitable for who you are. It does ruin your confidence a lot. We touched on the poor understanding or the poor interpretation of the cultural differences that come up, out of the situations we are living and the situations we are joining. The poor know-how, maybe the lack of education or the lack of experience, can also put you in very difficult situations where you think you can slap your wife, when actually in this part of the world that is a big sin. So those issues come up. We also mentioned a little bit the difficulty with language.
Yeah.
Like in my part of the world where I live, there's a difficult accent which a lot of people struggle with.
I know.
We've had people give up their jobs. Say, for instance, we had a few people give up their jobs as teachers because the children were perpetually complaining. We don't understand what you're saying.
We have no idea which language you're speaking.
Yes, and the authorities, once they receive that kind of a complaint, and they are not able to quickly adjust to the accent, then inevitably you have to go and look for another job. So there are many challenges,
Mm-hmm.
both in the home, in the work environment, and even in the society at large, where we had briefly touched on the concepts and the many phases of discrimination. All the issues that we sometimes broadly classify as racism, they cover a lot of other aspects.
That's right.
When you look like me, you look guilty. You look like a criminal. So if you ever find yourself on the wrong side of the law, then more often than not, you are presumed to be, you are the guilty party. So you don't expect to get a lot of forgiveness or a lot of kind treatment. You have to learn how to stand up and fight.
That bit of somebody who looks like you will always be guilty.
Yeah, when you are a tall, big black person, the presumption is that you are dangerous. So,
My God.
so those are also challenges that we have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And these are issues which if we don't talk about them,
Yes.
people will never understand. Everyone hopes or expects that you walk into a place and you'll be given equal opportunities and it will be a level platform, but it isn't.
Yeah.
It is tilted against you. The other side, when you try to jump up, if you don't look carefully, there's a glass ceiling. There's a level where you are not generally expected to cross. So there's a glass ceiling, which if you don't look carefully, you won't see it. And these are issues which you have to battle with and which you have to overcome somewhere along your journey if you're ever going to overcome these issues. So we had also briefly referred to the difficulties of the difficulties and how poverty occurs and affects our people. Not having the ability to live your life the way you would want consigns you to a certain, what is it called? Pigeonhole. It puts you in a certain box where you'll be looked at and you'll be interpreted according to the pigeonhole where you are. You will be listened to or you'll be respected according to the pigeonhole where you are. So those also become big challenges, and we are going to probably be looking today, hopefully, time allowing, we'll be looking a little bit deeper at some of those challenges and how they manifest and how they can be overcome. I was proposing today to probably briefly look at the challenges in education, maybe look at the challenges in business, and probably consider a little bit the challenges in leadership, because in social leadership that because we are part and parcel of this community and we have to make our contribution as best as we can. And hopefully as we cover that, we'll be able to bring out maybe a few other faces of this diamond that we are dealing with, which is called the challenges of the men in the diaspora. But I would like at this stage to particularly ask that let's all join this conversation. Let's all participate proactively and actively. Let's not just listen, because I do not have the answers. I can touch on and discuss the problems, but remember, these are problems of our community. We do not necessarily have the answers on this side of the equation. The answers are probably going to come out of a wider conversation among ourselves. I'm not an expert on social matters. I'm not an expert on racism. I'm not an expert on education. Mine is a law background. I've worked with a lot of people with very difficult challenges, and I continue to be willing to help where I can in those aspects. But in the course of such operations, I have also become aware of many other challenges on many other fronts, which I would hope that other people with probably better experience or more skills or qualifications would be helpful if they can join the conversation. So I would encourage that as many of us are participating in this conversation as possible. And by that, I mean, we expect to hear your comments, your compliments, your questions, your suggestions, and even the points that you feel maybe should be discussed maybe a bit deeper. And we'll be more than happy to even have other men joining this conversation to help us to roll it along. So that is probably, in my view, I think that's as far as we had gone last time. We touched on possible solutions to these kind of challenges, which came in the way of structuring our communities into more organized groups, probably developing and improving our role modeling structures and mentoring, trying to help our people to develop stronger characters, because the strength of your character is tested on the day that the Bible calls is it called the bad day?
Yeah,
The evil day. It's called the evil day. Because on that evil day, that is when your true character will come out. Like they say, the stars shines brightest on the darkest night. So your character, which you have been building all your life, it will be tested on one evil day, one dark day, and on that day you either come out as a hero, or you crumble and just become powder, if I may use that concept. So let's also work and help our people to develop stronger characters, better convictions, better morals, and to even dare to stand up and be counted for the right stuff, not for the wrong thing, because we are living in communities that the boundaries have become very, very blurred in terms of what is morally right and morally wrong, or what can or what should or should not be done. The boundaries are very fluid. You are made to feel that it is okay to have a different sexual persuasion. It is okay to have a different religious persuasion. It is okay to do anything you want. Right now, we are now at a junction where we are saying it's okay to take any sort of of drug.
Oh yes.
So these are difficulties we must encounter and we must deal with.
Yeah.
Because we can never normalize the abnormal. We should never ever normalize the abnormal, because what is normal and what is acceptable is one thing. What is abnormal and what is being pushed in your face is a different thing. So we must find a way to stand up as a community, to disagree or agree in whichever way. And like we mentioned last time, most of the other communities we are sharing this land with, they are very vocal when it's time for them to protest. Whether they are right or wrong, they protest very loudly. And so should we also. If we feel things are not going well, we should not be afraid to stand up and do like our brothers, the Muslims, do. When you cross the line, they don't wait; they deal with you.
Of course,
like they did in France with the poor teacher who had made an unfortunate teaching in the classroom, which is a matter for another day. But we might have different opinions on whether he was right or wrong, but they make it very clear. There's things they don't do. They don't eat gurues, pigs. There's so many things that they are very, very clear on.
Yeah.
So we should also be able to stand up and probably try and establish ourselves better in terms of this is where our red line is, this is acceptable, and this is not. But again, we shall probably come to that maybe towards the end of today's discussion. And hopefully try and see what other issues we can be able to tease out of our conversation.
Wow. Particularly this bit of education, which, obviously I'm in that area as a teacher. I would like us to look at it critically and see, because there was a time there was this talk of the black boy underperforming. And it still goes on. They say, well, we know our black boys are really geniuses. They're clever. They do work hard. I've been a teacher. I know that. How does that affect our boy child and eventually now the men in the diaspora?
Okay, in terms of that aspect, and this is where we probably might try and explore a little bit deeper. We must, as of necessity, begin by asking why is this child underperforming? And when we try to examine the reasons why this child is underperforming, you might find that some of them go back to the issues we are talking about. If this child is having some problems in the community, or is having some problems in the class or with their colleagues, every young boy wants to belong to a group. They want to feel they are accepted, And that's
Yeah.
really where your motivation is born from. You want to compete and win. You want to have people cheering you. You want to belong to the group. When this group seems to not probably accept you, or maybe seems to treat you in a different way, and you are very young, and most of these younger people in the schools will probably be having these particular challenges, you might find that now the only thing you can fall back on is what your mommy gave you. And if your mommy herself also going through the same challenges, was not able to equip you with the skills or the definitions with which to define yourself, then at that stage only God can help you, because you tend to crumble and you're not too sure how or which way to deal with it. I have seen, as an example, I've seen little girls in nursery school asking that their hair be dressed in a way that has some small rasters at the front, so that they also have a fringe.
They have a fringe.
Yeah, they want to also have a fringe. So you can begin to imagine what it means for that child that they don't have a fringe and everyone else has one, and the beauty of the day is defined by that fringe. So that the equivalent of that for the boy would be, you can't play this game with us, you can't do this with us, go away, you are like this, you are like that. That isolation tends to create a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And maybe in the small child, it could create the equivalent of what we consider in adults to be mental health challenges. And the children will probably develop either a rebellious attitude, or they'll have an anger issue within themselves which they are not able to deal with.
Yeah.
And that is like a cloud. It just blocks all their sunshine away, and it starts to define who they are. And then you will find inevitably that they start having issues when it's time to do their school stuff. Equally, if a small child has probably, they feel that maybe that their teacher is not giving them the same opportunities. And children are very sensitive to what is fair and what is not fair. Once unfairness creeps in, then there will be favorite teachers and not favorite teachers. If we look back at ourselves, you are probably better at the subjects in which you liked the teacher.
That's
and
true.
very poor at the subjects in which you felt like maybe the teacher was not supportive of you or not accepting of you and your difficulties. And remember, we are coming from places where things like the many different aspects that are considered of children here. When you are dyslexic and things like that, in our country we don't have those kind of problems.
Did you know
Not because they are not there, but it's because of the same reason. You don't go to anybody and tell them you are depressed. They will ask you what's wrong with you. Pick yourself up and let's go to work. Stop behaving like a child. You are being lazy. Yeah? People are told to just fight hard and stand up, even when really they are struggling with various challenges. So if that is the backdrop against which we are saying that the black child is underperforming, then we can actually demystify that underperformance into actually simple issues that can actually be dealt with either in the home front, if not in the home front, maybe as a society and as a community. We can create the equivalent of what President Kibaki used to say, democratic spaces. Spaces where where you can go and have an open discussion, or you can have a mentor who you can speak to and who can encourage you or motivate you on how to overcome your challenges. And then we can begin to kind of fight that particular aspect. But remember, these challenges don't just happen at the lower levels of education. They continue on through to the higher levels, and you end up with young adult men who have made poor choices, who have missed opportunities. They have a bad mentality. The thing we call attitude. They have a bad attitude, and because of that, it is difficult for them to develop the necessary skills with which to compete in the real world, where your education and your skill levels are very critical in terms of how far you will go. So in my description myself, in my mind, if those issues are not tackled early, like they say, you teach a child when they are young the way they should go, and when they are old, they will stay on that route.
Yeah.
So if we can find a way to diffuse these situations that are causing anger and bad attitude in our young people, if we can instill in them the correct mentalities and the correct mental outlook, then we shall help them to make the right choices in their life, to take advantage of the opportunities which lie ahead, and to also gain the skills they need to tackle the next level. You know, like in most computer games, if you can't conquer level 1, you'll never see level 2. You'll only ever see level 2 if you can be able to overcome level 1. And so it's a game of life. If you can't clear level 1, believe me, you'll never see level 2. And here we are. This is the conversation we are having.
Yeah.
So lack of skills, bad attitude, poor choices, and poor opportunities they are the major challenges we face right across the profile of our communities, from the very young to the very old, even the ones like me with walking sticks. Same problem. Bad attitude, poor opportunities, poor opportunities, bad choices, and sometimes a complete lack of skill. And you know, for those of us like me, I'm a Christian, I like to say that the Bible says in the Proverbs 22:29 that if you see a skilled person, if you are good at what you do, one day you will serve in front of kings. And therefore, those skills are very, very, very important. Because we know a lot of our people who are very, very skilled, but they don't have the mental attitude to go with the skills. So they are defined in the English way as flawed geniuses. You know, a flawed genius, a person who is very good at what he does, but they are completely difficult to manage. So in that way, they lose the opportunity that could have taken them to the next level. So that is just a little bit about what we can discuss and explore in the issues of in the challenges in education.
Yeah.
I believe that all these areas probably require a lot more time and thought and a lot more input than we can cover in the scope of this short program. But what we really would want, what I would want is to trigger people to start thinking about these things and to start exploring in their own environment how these things are affecting those around them and themselves. You know, it is one thing to know what your problem is, even though you don't know the solution. It's a completely different thing if you don't know what your problem is. Because that's where we say in Kikuyu, doe na doe doe. You don't know, and you don't know that you don't know. So that's a difficult place to be in, because it is difficult even for someone on the outside to help you. Because, for instance, as a close example, if you are drowning and you don't know that you are drowning, even the person who's trying to help you to not drown, you don't understand what their problem is. So
I know.
you must at least be able to understand that even though you don't know, you can't help yourself, you know where you are and you know what is happening around you, and you can access and be able to get the help that can be offered by the person next to you, who doesn't necessarily have to be an expert in the area. So that is, maybe we can come to that one a bit later. Let's now try and look at the challenges in the area of business, which is where I spend most of my days. This is a difficult area, because the person who has just finished fighting and wrestling with the challenges at that level of education is the one who is now being expected to now graduate and come and start dealing with the new level challenges in the level of business. So if you are poorly skilled, you have a bad attitude, you have made poor choices in your life, you come now to make choices in the wider area of business, where it is very critical. They look at your credit history, they look at your qualifications, they look at your skills to determine your suitability. And mostly our people will be struggling in those areas. They are poorly skilled, they are poorly experienced, they sometimes have a bad attitude, and when it's time to do business, sometimes they have not very good ideas, if I may say, the spectrum of ideas that might attract support. Sometimes our ideas are maybe a bit shallow or a bit slow, and other times we have other ideas that maybe are not completely acceptable or that do not apply to this part of the world. We start to struggle from the level of the concept of the business that you want to do. From that level, the next thing you need to do, with like any good business idea, you require financing.
Yeah.
If your history is bad, you probably have been to prison. You have a few convictions. You know, you have a lot of issues around yourself. You have a few deaths and CCJs.
Yeah.
And now you need substantial finance to lift your idea off the ground. You will find that most doors you knock on, the answer will be sorry, no. And it is very frustrating because if you don't really completely believe in your own idea, you will give up. Not because your idea can't work or it was a bad idea, but because sometimes there just be no finances forthcoming. And that is where now we come in as a community. We have to find a way to encourage and to motivate and to protect and to, you know, like every good chicken does. When they have their eggs that they need to hatch, they take care of all the eggs. Maybe some wounds, yeah. But we need to find a way in our communities and in our structures of our society to be able to take care of those people and their ideas and to see which way and what can work and what cannot before we release them into the wider world. You know, even every fish, they don't put their tadpoles in the deep sea. No, they put them first on the shallow waters, and then when they grow a bit, they can be released to go and swim in the deep sea. So we can, as a community, and we should, as a society, try and start developing concepts and platforms and ideas where we can be able to incubate those ideas and help them to either develop or grow, and hopefully see if some of them can actually become bigger. Because maybe out of every 100 ideas, maybe 99 won't work properly for various reasons, but you can always have that one idea which works, and when it works, it could be the one that changes the world. You know, like the case of Mr. Elon Musk and his Tesla car. It's a big thing, and it is his ideas initially would have sounded like they were a bit crazy. You know, when somebody tells you they're going to take you to Mars, a lot of people will tell you to stop being stupid and just get to the regular, ordinary way. Yeah. So those ideas must be incubated somehow and helped. And if we can help them, we can also try to have a situation where we can maybe help them to have some finances, or we can channel or access the finances necessary to make those ideas grow. But that brings us squarely to an item that is very critical in our communities, because we have a small animal called sabotage. You know, sabotage is when you are sabotaged by your own people. When your own people are the ones who are poisoning your enterprise or your effort, sometimes your survival depends on God's intervention.
Yes.
So equally, in this particular respect, if we can find a way in which we don't see our brother as a competitor and we see them as part of the necessary growth of our community, and we don't sabotage each other, then we can also probably find a way where our community can grow in this aspect of business. And like they say with the Jewish people, before a pound leaves the Jewish community, it has changed hands 4 or 5 times. But for us, it has not changed hands once. And equally, these are concepts of advanced communities that support each other. And we must try and develop the same kind of mentality where we understand that we must support each other and we must be able to promote each other so that we can, we can build each other up. So if we can have a situation where our communities, we are keeping money in our community 3 or 4 or 5 times before it goes to another community, then we shall be moving and growing our community very aggressively.
Right. And as we continue, I know you're coming back. I'll take a short break I'll take a short break and then very briefly have a drink of water. 2 minutes.
Okay.
My sponsors are here. My sponsors, we need to talk about Tap Tap. Tap Tap. It's a way to send money to Kenya. I know this is month end. I know this is Easter weekend. If you're from Kenya and you want to send money, the easiest way to send money to Kenya, Tap Tap. Just download the apps today. They have the highest rate of exchange. Tap Tap. I cannot recommend anything that is not good. Download the Tap Tap Send app wave. Send apps. Once you download, check, compare with the rest and see. And if you use my promo code LIZ254, LIZ254, guess what? £10 or $10 on your first transaction. £10 on your first transaction when you use my promotion code LIZ254. Tap tap.
Niaje Tap Tap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too.
So, you have another one? So we're back. And for those of you who are joining us, we are on part 2 of the challenges Kenyan men in diaspora face. And tonight we've got Matthew Ndungu. Mr. Ndungu is a lawyer by profession. He's a father, he's a grandfather. He's lived in this country for many years. So he knows firsthand the challenges most of the men face. And when we say that, we always put a disclaimer that he's not an expert. He can only talk about what he has come across for himself, for his family, because he's a father of sons, for the close associates, and even in his profession where he's been practicing, the people who come to him for help. And as a community leader, obviously, we do get all these things when we are community leaders. And so far, we have had so many challenges that our Kenyan men face. And last time we found out that some of these challenges, our men face them quietly, in hidden. They stay in a cocoon all by themselves, suffering. They don't come out in the open. And we've decided, you know what? As a community, it's about time we speak out about all the challenges and see how best we can support each other. Ndungu has just said he knows of a certain community, and we all know a certain community where they all get together and they are loud enough. When there is a problem, they don't shy off. For some reason, the way we've brought up, the way we've come as a community, and naturally, we as Kenyans, we're not loud people. And so sometimes we suffer and we don't want to speak. Even when it's our right, we still shy off and we just want things to work out in their own way. No wonder people don't even want to go into politics. People don't want to go into leadership. People fear where they want to come out. It's about time we speak out. Our men, we don't want them to continue suffering. We want to bridge that gap. We want to find out where have we failed? What can be done? What are some of the issues that our men sometimes fear to speak up? And one of the issues that Ndungu has said is when our men come here and they're full of dreams, expectations, high hopes, and all these sometimes fade because you expect to get a good job. Sometimes it doesn't work. And you find yourself doing what people, and I'm not calling, people would call odd jobs. I gave my own good example. When I first came to this nation, and with all due respect, I had to work in a care home. And that is not where I've been called. And I always tell people, even today, nursing, that profession, health profession, they earn a lot of money, but that is not where I've been called. You see, some people end up where they've not been called, not because they want, but circumstances force them. And that is what we have seen with our men. It's a high time we speak up. Some of the issues we can be able to sort out, we can discuss and see how can we involve other people in the community. So we have decided as a Kenyan community in the diaspora, we need to speak up. We need to challenge ourselves. We need to support each other. And tonight we have once again Mr. Ndungu all the way in Scotland. and he's been of help. He's speaking out and he's saying, you know what? We need to speak up. We need to share. So if you've got issues that you'd like us to discuss, just on the chat button there, put down what you feel. He said he's not an expert. Come on, let's share. Let's involve each other. I can see Springfield Church, Banamboro, you are there. You are a community leader. You face so many people. Shadrach Maluki, you are watching. Newton Kianga, you are watching. John Kingori, you are watching. Peter Wash, my cousin, you are watching. Mwagimo Digari, you are watching. All these people. Come on, if you feel there are issues that we need to address or what you think is making all these men to shy off, let's discuss. It's an open talk. So once again, over to you, Bwana Ndungu, and the talk today is challenges our Kenyan African men in diaspora face. And some of the challenges, you find that even in other places, like where we've come from, Nyumbani, some of the men go through the same challenges. Last week, we spoke about the relationships, men, women, wives, husbands, which is also another challenge where Bwana Ndungu said here, it is very true. It's horrible. We've had men who have been given their black bag, or they've found all their clothes in a black bag, thrown out after they've brought their wives in this country and took them to uni and all that. Just because of a slight disagreement, they put all the clothes in the black bag, throw them through the window. So the husband is coming in the morning from work. The door is locked. The hinges and the locks have been changed, and they can't go anywhere because the law here, as far as men, women, and the dogs and children, I hand it over to Bwana Ndungu. Bwana Ndungu, tuendelee.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. Is the lady comes first, then the dog, and then the man. But we were speaking about business, so
Yes.
We mentioned the concept of the quality of our ideas. We mentioned the challenges of finance. We have mentioned our own in-house our own sabotage in our own communities. And the last aspect that I needed to raise was the small matter that is called resilience. You have to be strong. You have to be able to stand up. You have to overcome some storms, because if you can't overcome the storm, then you will never be able to achieve anything of value. So you have to be powerful in your own self. You have to have a strong sense of belief. You have to be confident in yourself, and you have to be able to overcome some of those challenges that will be in your way. And that is the same in your personal life as well as in your business life. If you give up every time there's an initial problem, then you will never achieve anything of value. You have to stay and fight. If you give up in your education because it has become difficult, you will never pass your exam. So you have to stay and fight, and you have to be strong. But you have to be strong in the positive way, not strong in the negative way.
Yeah.
And if you are strong and if you are praying person, God will help you, and you'll be able to stand up and overcome the challenges. And if you do, then you will live to see level 2 or level 3 or the next level from where you are. And trust me, the joys of seeing the next level much more outweigh the challenges of getting there. The same way, if I dare use this as an example, the mother to give birth to a baby, they go through a lot of pain, but when the baby arrives, the pain is quickly deleted or forgotten.
Joy.
So the joy of the baby is equally the same as the joy of achieving something which you are fighting, or you've been really working hard for. So let us be resilient. Let us work hard. Let's develop our ideas. Let's pursue our financial resources. Let's make it happen. And if we do, that's the only way real things will be made. If you look at the kind of challenges a man like Elon Musk has had to go through to be where he is, or the kind of challenges a man like Jeff Bezos has gone through to be where he is, you will understand that this thing is not for the people who are weak-hearted. You have to be strong. And the Bible says that if you are strong, mighty forces will come to your aid. So be strong, and mighty forces will come to your aid. And I think in business we can leave it at that point for now. We probably might come back to it later if we have a bit more time. And let's now tackle the kind of challenges that we are facing in the areas of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, leadership is leadership in the home, is leadership in the community, is
Yeah.
leadership in the wider society, is even elected leadership.
Mm-hmm.
We have been in this community for a long time. We have been exposed to various aspects and dimensions of the existence here.
Mm-hmm.
And we really should be, at this point, in a position to develop some of our people to now take up political offices in the community,
Oh yes.
so that we are also visible as you know, a part of the society.
A clap
Now,
for that.
our biggest challenge, our biggest challenge in this respect, I'm sorry to say, and I hope I don't sound like a wet blanket, is our poor cohesion. You know, as a people,
Uh-huh.
our coming together is not our strong point at this stage.
Yeah.
And sometimes I admire the Asian communities when I see how they conduct their businesses.
That's
They're
true.
able to sit down and talk and plan and execute things. I have seen, like where I am now, they have come up with a group of a few young people, fairly young men in their late 20s or early 30s,
Mm-hmm.
and they are now pushing them through as a community through the system. They are putting them in parliament. They are helping them to achieve various elected offices. And it is not without challenges. They have serious challenges, but
Yeah.
they are able to sit down and talk and agree and do things as a community. It doesn't mean that they all agree. They are not like singing the same song, but
Oh.
there is enough momentum in the group for them to decide, okay, this person is the one we shall promote, we shall
Yeah.
vote for this one, and we'll put them in parliament. And I have seen that these things are actually possible. We have the numbers and we have the people who can be able to do that. But our first challenge is we have to be cohesive as a society. We have to come together as a people. We have to try and understand each other in terms of, let's look at the best in each other. Let's not look at the worst. Let's bring out the best in each other and let's put our cumulative best in one
Yes.
spot and use it to propel our people. Let's choose the people who actually have the potential, because there could be hundreds of people who can vie for office, but there might only be a handful who will make it to the next level of becoming a government minister or maybe articulating things on behalf of the community. So let's come together as a people, and that feeds back to our earlier suggestion of let's build structures in our communities, in our societies, and let those structures be strong enough to support this kind of objective, so that we can be able to say it's time now for us to have one Kenyan man in Westminster or
yes.
in Holyrood, and that person will be able to hopefully help us to articulate our problems even further. I remember last time I mentioned the fact that one of my friends has gone into a care home and is of Nigerian extraction. His favorite food is egusi and pounded yam. Unfortunately, in the care home, they can only offer him a few slices of bread and other food, which is not very good. We need somebody to talk for him, so that even if it's once a week, they allow him to
have a
to get egusi and pounded yam. And, but you can imagine, from his own position, it is very difficult for him to fight that out or to get help. And there's nobody out here who is technically qualified to say that this is the way things are. But if we had enough people around, if we build consensus around this issue, they would say, yeah, if you are of Asian extraction and you like chili, you should be able to have your chili. If you are of Kenyan origin and you like your nyama choma, you should be able to have some, even if it's once a week. But that was just by the way. That is what we can achieve by being cohesive and being organized and structured in what we are doing. And that is one of the biggest challenges which we have as men in the diaspora, and not even just men, as a diaspora, as a community. This is a big challenge for all of us. We need to start thinking positively about it, so that we are not just thinking about today. Let's start thinking, what do you think it will be like in the year 2050, long after some of us have retired or gone into those homes or wherever else? What will the community be like? What direction will it be going in? Are we having, or are we creating strong people who can be able to stand up for us when we can't? Are we creating people who can be able to articulate their own needs according to their own cultural understanding of how the world is? And that can only come out of those kind of structures. The second aspect that inhibits seriously our bid for leadership is a natural progression from the poor cohesion. Means you lack support. You are happy to stand up and say, yes, I'll try this one, but you might find that you don't have momentum. You don't have support from the people who should be the first ones to support you.
Oh,
and
yes.
you know, like the way they say, when they say charity begins at home,
yeah.
Your home is your community. Your home is your society. Your home is the people who know you, who are like you.
That's right, yeah.
If those ones can't support you, then trying to look for support or warmth from anyone else will be very difficult, because everyone will be asking, why is this guy not getting support from his own people? Maybe there's something wrong with him, and therefore it will be difficult. So, if we are ever able to create those kind of structures, if we are ever able to come together as a people and as a community, then we can be able to also overcome that challenge by way of creating and funneling and channeling the support that is necessary, at least for a person to be able to conquer level 1, and then we wait and see what happens in level 2. I've had occasions here in my corner of the world to be asked by our First Minister that, you know, in Scotland we have a tartan. You know, the Scottish cloth is a tartan is made up of many colors. And she asked me, why are some colors missing from this tartan? And I asked her, what do you mean? She said, you guys are here, you are educated, you are many. Why are we not seeing progression? Why don't we have some of you also, you know, stepping up in the front where we can also kind of articulate policy together, so that you also speak about your own unique communities and your challenges and the kind of things that you're experiencing. And that's a very difficult question to answer. And I said I'll go back to the people and I'll try and get you an answer for that one. So equally, at this point, if we are cohesive, we can support each other, we can overcome those two challenges in one stroke. Challenge number 3, for the purposes of leadership, is the challenge of poor networking. And poor networking means, if you are not connecting with other people, maybe different persuasions or even different ideas, if you are not open to hearing other people who probably may not agree with you, if you are not really reaching out and supporting other people in their objectives and their challenges, it means you are not participating in the civil society in which you are, and it means you are not being counted. It's the same as not going out to vote. If you don't vote, your vote won't count. Your opinions are just your own. They don't matter. But the day you vote, or the day you go out and make yourself known or make yourself heard and you try and express yourself, whether they agree with you or they don't, your presence will always be there. And you never know, you might be, you know, giving the first stroke of many strokes to come. And you know how you cut down a big tree? By continuously cutting. You know, every time you throw the axe, you remove a small chip. And those small chips, if you are persistent, one day the tree will fall down.
That's right.
Equally, let's network. Let's belong to the communities in which we are. Let's not isolate ourselves. Let's not treat ourselves as if we are not part of the community. We are part of the unit. And it is up to us to do like the Bible says, to be the salt of the. We need to bring our own flavor to these things. We need to come and we need to be felt and tasted in the, whatever, in the areas where we are, and we need to count. If we can do that, we are one step closer to the kind of leadership that is necessary. And like in my community, it is difficult, but we are working on it, and hopefully we should be able to do something maybe before too long. So let's also build and develop and advance and promote all this networking. And then let's bring all that networking effort and all those friendships and all that information into the structure of our communities. And that way we can be able to advance as a people. You know, they say, if you want to go far, you go as a group. But if you want to go quickly, go as an individual. But it means if you are going as an individual, it means you won't go very far. You will go fast, but you won't go very far. But when you go as a group, you might not go very fast, but you can go very far. And that is really where we are trying to be. So challenge number 5 in my brief thinking about this situation is a challenge in leadership, is a challenge of confidence. If you are not confident enough to stand up and say your name, even though people can't pronounce it, you are beginning to have problems. Yeah?
Lack of confidence.
That is a big challenge. I was listening to something that was sent to me by my son, and it's about a Nigerian man introducing himself. And he has 3 names with 28 syllables each. And
I wish you could share that with us.
I can't say it, but I'll share the clip, and you can see that this person is willing to say my name is this big number of letters, and it's 3 big names which you can't pronounce. And he kept being asked, is this your real name? He says, my name is this. He's told to spell it. He says, I don't know how to spell it, but this is my name. And he's standing up and saying, yeah, my name is this. It doesn't matter that the other person can't pronounce your name. Like me, mine have been called all sorts of things. Dogo, Nogo, all sorts of things. Yeah, all sorts of names. But I insist that you need to address me correctly by my name because that's the name my mother gave me. And I was very proud a few years ago when President Obama became the President of America. And at that time, for those of you who remember, in those days being a Muslim was a big problem because of all the Bin Laden activities that had been happening prior to that, which President Bush had been fighting with. But unfortunately, you know, the people who named Obama, they gave him the name Barack. And the second name his father's name is Hussein. So the time when he started to now campaign to be the president, that was one of his biggest challenges, his name. But he started by saying that, you know, my name is Barack Obama. Sorry, but the people who named me, they had no idea that I might one day want to run for president. So this is my name, and you take me for what it is. This is who I am. This is where I come from, and this is me. That is called confidence.
Yes.
If we are confident, and if we are confident in ourselves, we are not necessarily made perfect. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have all the answers. All we need to do is to take the first step. And like I said earlier, if you are bold, then mighty forces will come to your aid. So be bold in wherever you are. Be bold in your business. Be bold in your situation. And be bold if you want to help us in terms of providing leadership in our societies and our communities. And if you are bold enough, after we finish throwing stones at you, then we'll come and support you. We'll come and help you, and you might be you might be the catalyst that we need so that we overcome the challenges that we have.
That's right.
So confidence, very, very important. Now, the other minor issue that I must emphasize, and this is not really a challenge, is the fact that like a small baby, you know, when you are 2 years old, you do the things of 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
When you are 10 years old, you do the things of 10-year-olds. As a community, we shall grow. We will grow, and we are growing, whether we like it or we don't. The important thing is to take control of in which direction we are growing, and to direct our growth into the positive aspects of the issues we so wish to have. And that calls for what I would consider to be my recommendations, or what I would consider to be possible solutions in this situation. All the issues that we are talking about, they require, one, strength of character. You have to be strong as a person, as an individual. You have to believe in yourself, and you also have to be disciplined, because if you are strong as a character and you have a bad attitude, it is difficult to go far.
That's right.
You have to be disciplined, and discipline requires that you are able to marshal yourself and organize yourself in a way that is respectable.
Yeah.
Once you are disciplined and you have strength of character, then you have to be skilled. You have to develop sellable skills that are in demand in the market. I remember one day many years ago, one man in Kenya went to America for higher education, and he studied very seriously something called nuclear science in the 70s. Then he came back home with heavy qualifications in nuclear science. And he was now surprised and disappointed that he couldn't get a job. He was highly skilled in an area where our society or our country was not anywhere to be. So let us also be skilled in the correct areas. Let us gain skills intelligently, the skills that are sellable and the skills that can help us to move our challenges forward. And if we have those skills, if we are disciplined and we have strength of character, the other thing that we need is resilience. We have to be resilient. We have to be like the river. Do you know why the river and it's just water? Do you know why it erodes stone? It's because it keeps coming. It never gives up. It keeps coming and keeps coming until the stone finds itself having to give up. So equally, if we have strength of character and we are well disciplined and we are skilled in what we are doing, then the only other value we need is resilience. And once we have that set, then God can be able to open the doors that He needs to open for us to get through. Because remember, at all times, there are some doors which only God can open, and there are opportunities which only God can grant. So at that point, we have our faith. If we can do that as individuals, and then do that as communities, and do that as a society and as a people, all our challenges, we can overcome them. We can at least begin to overcome them in a big way. And I like to think in terms of, I was looking at some studies, and the studies were about population trends in the world. And one of the most interesting things I came across was a simple statistic that estimates that by the year 2050, the population of Kenya will be 100 million people.
Wow.
And I was just thinking to myself that, what will it look like? What will it be like? Because we will be so many,
At the moment, we are so many.
And 2050 is not far. It's 20, 25 years from today. It's just a short time. So in those days when we'll be 100 million, how will our own children and our children's children, how will they be able to stand up? What will our communities be like? What values are we passing down to them? What are we teaching them to do? How will they handle their challenges? Because challenges will come. How will they deal with it? And I thought to myself that is an important comparison for what we are talking about today. Because today and last time, we were only beginning to articulate or to discuss the kind of, or to even maybe try and define the challenges that we are facing as a people who are here. And remember, from where we come from, this is considered to be the land of milk and honey. The people in the village, they expect that you have no reason to say you can't afford it. You must be able to.
You've got everything.
But now you in your land of milk and honey, your challenges, the challenges are your own. So let's talk about these things. Let's instigate a conversation among our people and among our communities. Let's start talking about these things. And even by participating in this show, let's have comments, let's have compliments, even complaints or even criticisms if there are any. Let us talk. Let's have this conversation as a community, not as between the two of us who are here in the studio today, but as a people. Let us start to ask ourselves, who are we and how are we defined and where are we going and what can we do about the challenges that we are all facing as a group rather
Yeah.
than as individuals.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, we can begin to maybe, we can begin to dismantle some of these challenges. We can begin to redefine some of the issues which we are facing, and we can begin to even take our rightful place in our
That's
homes,
right.
in our villages, in our communities, in our societies, and even in our counties and in our governments. And then we can begin to actually steady the ship, because just now we are just floating about like a canoe without someone to drive it.
Yeah.
So sorry if I have used any strong language, but there's no simple way of defining the challenges that we are going through, and they will not go away. So if we wish them away, they will not disappear. And if we don't wrestle these, if we don't wrestle these dragons,
like you are saying, we need to face them head on. And with that, I would really like to encourage the viewers tonight to just any comments, any questions, even if you don't want your name to appear there, if you put them in my inbox, we're going to try and tackle them. Any comments, anything that you feel maybe you'd like to add, you are free. We have said this is an open talk, open discussion. If you go to my Facebook page, if you inbox me, I've got the gadgets here. I'll look at that and then we can all look at it. If you've got any comments, I can see people who can actually contribute. I can see they are here. I don't want to start naming names, but if you've got any comment, if you've got any question, if you've got any concern, maybe on something that has been mentioned and you'd like some clarification, go to my inbox, or you can just put on the chat and then we go ahead and look at it. We put a disclaimer right from the word go that we just come here. We want that open talk because not many people want to talk about the challenges. Not many people want to talk about the men, especially in the diaspora. Not many people want to bring that topic. Everybody, when we come to that, they say, no, I live my own life. And I like what Ndungu has said. We need to come together, build strong structures. Where will these strong structures come from if we don't talk? We need to get together and have a talk. And that is why this program is all about bringing these structures together, coming together as a community, supporting each other, trying to get that cohesion, which is not there. Let's not cheat ourselves. We are not our cohesiveness is not there. We don't have it. And I can give like my example when Ndungu was talking about the leadership. When I have to go out into campaigns, if we could get our forces together, do you know how many of us we could get in? We are already a strong force. But because we are not together, we are not a strong team, we do not have that cohesiveness. Then we don't have that lack of support. And Ndungu alluded that to the lack of cohesion. That is why people who want to go to leadership don't get the support. Because where will you get the support from? There is also the poor networking. Because what I've noticed, and I do not know whether anybody agrees with me, sometimes people want to keep to their own very small cocoons, very small. We don't want, it's my own Barking and Dagenham, not even Barking and Dagenham, to be honest. You find that I'm in Barking and Dagenham, which is not a massive place, not many Kenyans, but the few who are here, we're not even together. We've got like 5, 6, 7 teams of us. What if we got together, if we decided we're going to get another councillor, we're going to even getting me to parliament? We can do it, my dears. But because we are not together, there's that link, and that is what we are trying to work on so that we can build to develop that friendship and the structures for our community. It's a high time. We need to get together. We need to work as a team. And what Ndungu has said, I've seen it even where I live. The Asian communities get together. And when it is time for selections, you know what? I'll put my name forward. I'm strong. I can do it. But because I do not have that backup, I'll lose. But if we got together and get them, this is a game. I mean, we need to do that. I can see Jeriwage Tene because she's also coming up and I'm encouraging her and I'll support her. Then the lack of confidence, and I do not know where this comes from. Where we come from, we are known to be confident people. We are We are not that. So I don't know what happens here. Maybe like Bwanandongo said last time, maybe sometimes the culture shock, sometimes the language barrier, all these things. And then they kind of inhibit so much in us, and we lack confidence in doing whatever. Where we come from, we shouldn't be that naive. We are confident people. Please, guys, we are trying to come up with this platform and others so that we can get together as a community and see where did we fail. We need, like that small baby Mr. Ndungu has said, we need to take control and direct our growth. We take control and direct our strengths in the right direction. Don't just be alone. Man, come on, get together. Get somebody else. Hold somebody's hand. Don't walk on your own. How far can you go? We need to go together as a Kenyan community in the diaspora, and more so the men. More so the men. Mr. Ndungu is talking about businesses. Some of us, because of lack of proper finances, we are not able to go far. We do not have those links. We do not have people to talk to because we fail in that cohesiveness. We do not have structures in place. We do not have areas where we could go and sit as men and talk, because there are people who know a lot who could be supporting, but they're not given a platform. We do not have a platform, So this is what we are trying to create. It might look small, but I tell you what, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I believe this is the first step towards the right direction, where we can openly come and talk, where we can discuss our issues, where we can come as a community and see, look here, this is where we need to channel our energy, our efforts, our ideas, our strengths, our weaknesses, so that we can all dilute the weaknesses and work with our strengths. We have the strengths, but because we don't get together, we don't channel them in the right direction. I believe there is a lot that we together, united, we can do. We've come here, we knew a lot from home, and again, we've learned a lot from where we are in our host country. We need to give back, even giving back to the community. It's not just thinking of back. What about where we are? So that we can also encourage our children. Some of us now, we are in another generation. We should be handing over the baton to our children. But are we doing that? No, because there's no platform for that. There are no structures in place for that. We are challenging ourselves as a community. And I believe through these talks, there's a lot that we can do. And one of the ways you can do that is share, support, share, invite people to come and participate. Share, invite people to come and join us. Like our page. Even if you're working tonight, share so that somebody else can come and follow us. Go on our YouTube page, Beacon of Hope Beacon. Share, like, subscribe. You're not doing that. I'm not benefiting in any way. I am not, but I've got the heart for the community. Mr. Ndungu is giving up his time. He could be doing other things, but because he's got a heart as a community leader, he wants people to benefit. He wants to share what we can. So please, I did ask, and when I checked the last time, not many of us share. They come here, you listen, yes, you benefit. You don't disseminate that information to other people. Let us be our brother's keeper. Let us share. When you come to your Facebook page, just click that button. Other people will come and follow because they are not all my friends. When you go to the YouTube page, like, share, comment, and subscribe. So our talk again, and I can see Anu Afura. I'll be inviting you soon. Have you shared, my friend? She's one of our icons, doing very well in Kenya. But how many people know her? How many know that Anu Afura even has some very, very good charities, some very good things that she does, even all the way to Parliament? Do we support her? No. No, we don't. We just say, oh, that is just for Anu Afura strike, MBE. I forgot that, my darling. Let us support when we hear one of us is doing something good. So, Ndungu, let's continue. I know we have a few more minutes. Let's continue because the idea of looking at the challenges and looking for whatever solutions. But I would like the people here also to contribute, to give us ideas, to challenge us. Yeah, we don't mind challenge. This is why we are here. It's an open talk. challenges our Kenyan African men in diaspora face. And I'm looking to see whether you are sharing and inviting, because that's the only way also you can support. Ndungu, over to you once again.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councillor Elizabeth. I think we are now at the level where we need to maybe wake up the listener a bit.
Yes.
I once read a small story. I can't remember the true source of it, but the story was about a man who was a member of a group. But for some reasons, politics or otherwise, he found himself not, he fell off a bit. He stopped coming to the meetings and participating. So when he missed a few meetings, one day the leader of the group went to his house. And he didn't know what to tell him. So he just went and sat, and he found the man sitting by the fireplace with a nice fire burning in the evening. So he just came and sat and looked at the fire. So he looked at the fire, and he reached into the fire and removed one of the pieces of wood that was burning, and he placed it on the side. The man who was the owner of the house looked at it. It was now like a game of chess. They are not talking. They are just looking at the fire. And gradually, the fire went down, and it started going off. Because if there were, say, 3 or 4 big pieces of wood burning, and you've taken out one of the main ones, then the fire starts to go down.
Off, yeah.
So when the fire had gone completely down, this man took the piece of wood on the side and put it back in the fire. And the fire started coming up again. And the owner of the house told the leader of the group, I understand, I'll come back. So what are we saying here? Some things you don't have to say anything, you just have to act. And what do we mean by that? A fire will not burn as bright if you don't come forward. Because remember, we are all individual pieces of wood in this fire. If we want to make a big fire, we will all come together and we'll make a big fire that will be seen from very, very far. But if you stay at home and maybe think maybe that it doesn't affect the group, and I stay at home, I think it doesn't affect the group, and the next person stays at home and thinks it doesn't affect the group, I want to tell you it does. It affects the group, and the fire will go down. This situation has been repeated in another story which I was told. Some people say I like to tell stories, but these are factual situations. One day in an Italian village, some people might know this story, and if I get it wrong, please forgive me, but the concept is important. A new parish priest was posted to that village. And it was the custom of the village that when a new priest comes, they make one day when everyone goes to his house, and they spend some time with him and welcome him to the village, and then they all go away. The custom of the village was that everyone brings a bottle of wine. So on the appointed day, all the villagers religiously reported on duty. They came to the place. They had a lot of good words to say, and they showed up in person. They invested their time, and they came and they talked very well. And then when it was time for them to leave, the priest told them, just one moment. You brought me too much wine. I can't finish on my own. So what I would do, we will pour all this wine into one container, and then we share it. Everyone will have a glass full, and then you can leave. When they put all the wine into the mutungi, and the priest asked the man nearest the mutungi to fetch the first glass, the man drew a glass of wine and filled it up, and the priest said to him, because I'm new here, I can't be the one to start to talk, but can you taste and tell us if it's okay? The sad and regrettable thing was that when they opened the tap, only water came out of the barrel that they had just filled with all the wine the villagers had brought. Now, the poor villager who was had the task of now announcing, he didn't know what to do, so he said to the priest that I'm sorry, but this is water. And there's no great need for sharing the water among all of us. So the priest said to them, it's okay, we can just pour the water, it's fine. But the moral of the story was, all those people came with a bottle
of water.
But it was full of water. So my challenge is,
because I was bringing it for somebody else.
Don't just show up like the firewood, but also bring your best effort. Bring your best ideas, bring your best suggestions. So show up as a piece of wood to be put in the fire to help the fire to burn, but also show up with the best of yourself. Don't come with water in the bottle just for the sake of being seen. Come with your best ideas, your suggestions, and help your community to grow. Remember, it is our community. We have to deal with it, and these problems won't go away. They are our problems. And they are the problems that if we don't deal with them, our children will have to deal with them. If they don't deal with them, it is our children's children who will have to deal with them.
That's right.
And if we can overcome these issues, they are not difficult issues, and we are not the first people to encounter these kind of challenges. I remember last week I mentioned something about the word diaspora. The origins of the word diaspora. The word diaspora was coined in the time when the Jews were having a lot of problems with Mr. Hitler, and they were actually dispersed, and there were pockets and many communities living outside of their home country. And they were in exactly the same situation we are in, with the difference that us, we are welcome back where we come from. We can always go home if we want to. Then they didn't have that option. But look at what they did with whatever little they had, and look at what they achieved with the coinage of that word. When we talk diaspora, we talk about successful communities, not communities that are not working. Now here we are with our Kenyan one. This is our Kenyan diaspora. We are articulating the problems of the wider African man, but we are Kenyan men. We have to deal with these issues the way we have been shown, the way we have been trained, and the way we have been shown. If I may say in Kikuyu, I don't know how many of our listeners understand Kikuyu, but we say "Kamuige koyaga dere," meaning. I don't know how to put that in English, but
it is more of together we are strong, united we stand, together.
Correct. So let us do that very thing. Let us do that thing. Let us come together. Let us overcome our problems with our dichotomy of age challenges. Let us deal with our social environment challenges. Let us deal with our acculturation challenges. Let us deal with our cohesion challenges. Let us help and model and create our role models, our mentors. Let us have our conversations. Let us teach our children it's okay to talk. I mentioned last time that if you meet most men in the street and you ask them, how are you? They give you the straight answer, I'm okay, I'm all right. But are they really all right? Men, are you really all right? Are you all right?
Not really.
Me, I think you are not really all right, but we have been taught that you have to stand up as a man, you don't talk about your problems, you don't cry, you carry your burdens like a man, but you also have a limited amount of strength. So there's a point at which a problem shared becomes a problem half solved, and the more we share, the better we get. So let's not be critical of each other, let's not bring each other down, let's not sabotage each other. Let's be resilient. Let's be strong to overcome our challenges, and let us do the things that we need to do to keep our communities the way we should. And I'm just wondering, are there no people commenting or asking anything, or who are supporting us? We do not have extra pieces of wood to put in this fire.
I don't see them commenting. I've been telling them. I can see great at what you do, but poor attitude or difficult to be managed. You miss opportunities because of that. Yeah, we miss opportunities. Great point. That's a point. That's someone making a point. Ben Geeks may saying, if you are great at what you do, but poor attitude or difficult to be managed, then you miss opportunities. We've got I did tell them to comment, ask questions, share with us their views. Huh?
And even if it's not today, because I have a feeling that maybe this conversation might require a few more sessions,
Yeah.
let them send you in your inbox any questions, comments, compliments, complaints, criticisms, but let us participate. Let's not just leave it like the little mouse. Let's not leave the problem to the little mouse, because
Exactly.
when the problems get big, everything gets taken down by the challenge that was highlighted by the mouse. And this is the mouse highlighting a challenge.
Uh-huh.
So we are hoping that the cows and the bigger animals in the farm will respond and they will
I can
come
see,
and help us to overcome.
I can see Dr. Kimani is saying very well articulated, especially that point about the diaspora spirit. Right. But Dr. Kimani, we want questions. We want questions and challenges. Write those questions where you feel or your comments of what you feel. John Bo, will write your questions. Masimweje is asking, where are our brothers? Men, where are you? Peter Kevin, where are the brothers? Give a Karisho, okay? Where are the questions? You can ask on their behalf. And you don't necessarily have to write your question there. You can inbox me. John Bogwa is saying, next lesson, we will be ready with questions. Very informative. Yes, if actually I need those so that next time Wanandogo comes, we have questions to tackle. Yes, that is very good, John Boga. Let's not shy off, because at the end of the day, what we are doing and what we are looking for is to bring that cohesive nature which is lacking. We cannot deny it. Let us not try to sugarcoat things. We are not united. We are not working together as a community. And so, because of that, we are lacking in so many things. We cannot move far. We need to work together. We need to find out what is that piece of the jigsaw that is missing in our community. And this time now, not just the men, but the men obviously being the head. Because even biblically, as a Christian, the man is the head of the home. The man is the head of the house. The man is the one who needs to make the final decisions. So that is why we really want to empower our men. We want to find out where did we, in Kikuyu, they say, in Kikuyu, if I can get the correct, men, that lack of confidence which you spoke about. Where are we? Where have we lost the track? So that we want our men to be speaking, and so that we listen. We don't want our men to look like they've been covered somewhere, they've been hidden in a small cocoon somewhere. We want our men to come out and speak up. So I'm still waiting, and we do not have as many questions and comments, but John Bower on their behalf says during the next lesson, they'll be ready with questions. And he says it's very, very informative what we are discussing. But we did say we are not the experts. I just came up with this idea of having the men speak up, because I'm coming from a leadership background where I go to these meetings and I find you ask the men and you hear the men are really leading in so many ways. Whereas our men, and we are many, you are here, you are many. And we do not want to say it's lack of confidence, not all of you. You must have that strength of character. Let's come out and be who we were created to be by God. Don't let other people take over, where you should be. You are the men, be our bishops, be our heads, be the leaders, be the people to bless our homes. We want you to take back the mantle where maybe things have slipped a bit, like Ndungu was telling us. And in today's topic, really, you spoke even about businesses where our Kenyan men have failed. Some of them is lack of skills. Some of them is making bad choices. Others is poor opportunities. But where will these opportunities come from if we do not have such forums where people can come and talk to people about the opportunities? There is even the sabotage. There is a finance, quality of ideas, self-sense of belief, not proper enough self-sense of belief. That goes back to the lack of confidence, which has featured in so many, areas. Let us be that person. Let us take back, our mantle where God created you men to be. We want you to feel empowered. We want you to take back. We want you to feel that we have got you and we can sit back and feel comfortable. I don't want to say what somebody was saying that I think it was last year I was chairing some meeting somewhere of women, and they said our girls now are being taken by a certain group of men. I don't know. I can see one. I don't know knows what I'm talking about. That all our young girls now, they are saying our Kenyan men are not strong enough. And so they're looking for those other people. No, our men are strong enough. Men, where are you? Our boys are strong enough. But then last time Ndungu said, men need to come up so that they can also start teaching the young boys. Just like us older women also need to teach the younger girls our ways so that our girls are not really... I've nothing against mixed marriages and cultures and all that, but not at the extent of saying we do not have strong, good Kenyan men. No, they are there. But we need to bring out that good characters in them. But how will that happen if we do not have the structures in place? And that is what we are looking for in these programs. We want to have these, want to get together, for support. We need to get that cohesion. We need to think positively, get that support which is lacking, so that our boy child feels strong. Hey, Bwana Ndungu, people don't want to comment and they don't want to ask questions.
No, give them time, they will. Even if not in this show, by the next one, they'll be... This conversation is not a one-day affair. It's an ongoing thing.
No. We shall go on.
It will pick momentum and it will work. And the things that need to be said will be said.
Amen.
In the fullness of time. Not necessarily today, and not necessarily during my time as a guest, but there might also be other guests who can also join us and who can also help us to articulate this thing further. Because we are just one person, and
there is one person who has made a comment there, and I really don't want to name he said, yeah, you can read it there. Matthew says, once beaten, twice shy. Sometimes that is a hidden factor, that once beaten, twice shy. Sometimes I remember that men got together to a certain group, which I'm not mentioning. They all rallied together, came up with big ideas, and then equally lost big. Once beaten, twice shy.
I would like to say something to Mr. Kimani, my namesake, that in the farming communities from where we come, sometimes as a farmer you lose the entire harvest. But what happens? You don't stop farming because you have lost the harvest.
I like that.
You go back again, you plant again, and you never know. God can give you the one of double challenges or double portions, and He compensates even for the one you lost. So it's just a thought. It's just an idea that there are many individual challenges which I may not be able to comment on because I don't have personal knowledge. But danger is out there. It lurks in the shadows, and it is a real fact. It's something we have to deal with. And sometimes you will get beaten. If you live in a place with snakes, it's a question of when, not whether. But you can also prepare the antidote for the poison, so that if you ever have the mishap, then you can antidote yourself so it doesn't take you out. But like a good farmer, if you lost last season, please go back, plant again, this could be the better season. It could be the season that God has appointed for you to recover your losses.
He says
I was going to say, I was going to say something else, and I don't know whether this one is.
Go on.
I don't know whether this is the right time for this one, but the story is told in our tribe of a time when the leadership was in the hands of women. And the woman who was the ruler was called Wagwa Makeri. Wagwa Makeri. Yeah. And I was going to challenge the people who are in this group or who may be listening to this to go back to that story and find out. Those guys were in a very difficult position, you know. They were in a very difficult, you know, it was hard for them and things were tight. But they did exactly what we are asking us to do today. We are asking ourselves. They came together and asked each other, what can we do? How do we deal with this challenge that is facing us? How can we overcome it? I won't tell them how it was overcome, but we shall discuss that on another day. But by coming together, they were able to overcome a serious situation of governance within their setup. Or rather, they were able to do a coup. So talking together is not a joke. It can create very, very, very serious opportunities. And it can liberate a big group of people, even who seemingly are in a very difficult situation. So let's talk, and this is the challenge. This is my challenge to everyone who is hearing, or who will hear at a later date, or who will come next time, or who came last time. How do we now begin to have this conversation? I remember last time we had one question that has really been troubling me all along, because one question was asked, which was in connection with, I want more children, but my wife has said no.
Yeah, that was there.
A very difficult concept to try and break down. But I think in the story of Wagwa Makeri, I think some answers or some parallels can be drawn from from there, and maybe. But again, that's a conversation for another day. For today, we are just looking at the challenges, and particularly the challenges that face us as Kenyan African men here in the diaspora. And they are many, and they come in different shapes and sizes. And we can only ever overcome them, not as individuals, but rather as a group and as a people and as a community.
Oh, yes.
Because some of our challenges are actually back in our villages, where we buy plots that don't exist, or we get abused by our family members in many ways. So there we have many challenges, but we are here, and let's talk about them. Let's not be shy.
Yeah.
The more we talk, the better we get. But I cannot talk alone. We cannot just have a conversation, two of us, because we do not really have the answers. We can highlight the issues, but the owners of these issues are the owners of the community, the societies we are talking about.
That's
and
right.
they're the people who should be having these conversations with us and with everyone else. So I think my contribution for today would be well wrapped up at that point. And I would really like us to, even if we don't act, I'd like us to start talking about it, to start even thinking about it. Even if you don't talk about it, you know, when you go to your bed and cover your head, inside your head, in your own conversation, in your own head, start to think about it, because I know as a fact that everyone is facing challenges.
Oh, yes.
And they're serious challenges. And most of the time, there are challenges which you don't even know how to deal with them. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
There may be someone out there who can tell you that is small, that's simple, that's a small thing. I know, or I have seen, or I have been there, or try this, or try the other. The same way we even do when you go to for those of us who participate in drinking what did Wahome Mutai call it? You know, the frozen beers that we enjoy. For those who enjoy those, as we know, when you start having problems with gout, the best hospital is among your fellow drinkers, because they're the ones who tell you there's a small brew medicine. If you take that one, you'll be okay.
There's among the group where you get that advice.
That's where you get the most up-to-date advice because you are getting it from a fellow sufferer. So let's converse, let's talk, let's think. And even if we can't talk today because maybe some have joined late, maybe some have not had occasion to reflect properly, maybe some are just digesting what we are trying to speak about.
Yeah.
This program, I believe, is on, and it will continue to explore the various aspects of our challenging situation. And let's not be afraid to contribute, suggest, recommend, compliment, or even criticize where needed.
Have you seen that latest comment there? Mr. Matthew, please note some men here in the UK are enemies of each other. They can facilitate your family downfall.
And with great respect, that is true. And that is one of the challenges which we have to tackle and we have to deal with somehow because we cannot, we shouldn't keep quiet, because if we keep quiet, the enemy doesn't go away.
That's true.
The threat remains, and the threat is real. And sometimes we just decide to go down fighting if you have to go down, but don't go down quietly, because if you go down quietly, nobody will ever know what happened to you.
Yeah.
But if you go screaming and kicking and shouting, then there might be some people attracted to the commotion who come and ask what is going on here, and you might have some sort of help from that direction. But it's a fact, and it's a real concern that we do have real issues, and the danger is real. But let us not move from a point of weakness or from a point of fear. Let us try and move from a point of strength.
Yeah.
And if downfall is the price we shall pay, let's be prepared to pay it.
Wow.
Thank you very much. But at least it's a very, very critical and very important and positive contribution.
It is, yeah.
It is a fact which probably everyone is also aware of. I believe everyone can tell an example of that kind of a challenge. So let's be strong and let's do what we have to do, because if we don't do it, there's no one else to do it for us. Thank you very much, Bonajeroge, for that comment.
That was a varied comment that he's made. I believe it speaks for many, like you said, not just one person, maybe in different forms, in different shapes, the way it does, but downfall can be caused even. You did say the other time, the family, the kind of friendship, the kind of upbringing, the kind of family you marry into can bring that downfall. Even your in-laws, you did say that last time. So, and Bonajeroge, thank you for that. And like Ndungu says, these are some of the issues that we need to get together as a community and discuss, where men can get together. And I like that answer you gave to Mr. Muturi. Hata amesema, Kimani amesema, that is a very good answer, because we cannot just say, put all our eggs in one basket and say, no. That was a one-off. And there are so many other groups that are doing very well. But obviously, it can be discouraging. And people, once bitten, twice shy, you can be discouraged and say, hey, we got that time, we got together that time, and now here we are. But let us not give up, like Mr. Ndungu is saying, let us not give up. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We are looking at the future, if not ours, the generations to come, our children, our children's children. We will say this is the third, fourth generation from Kenya. What did we leave them? What did we give them? What direction did we steer them into? Because that is what we want to look at. We want to steer them in the right direction. We want to make sure that we've left them in safe hands. Bonajeroge is still commenting and saying, then where do the right person when you have a family challenge? We need 1,000 of them. Well, you need to get this and you are men together, because really.
No, thank you, Mr. Jeroga. That is a real challenge, and trust me, it's not a joke, because when you tell a person to open their heart, to completely just open their heart like a book, it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to put forward their weakest leg. Everyone wants to put forward their strongest leg, and everyone wants to only deal with people they can really trust. So to this one, I would say, don't just open your heart like a book to anybody, but we need to find a way of filtering and find a way of making sure that we can cross-test our intentions and our advice. Even whatever discussions we have, whatever you advise, you also have to listen and process it in your own mind and decide whether it's appropriate for you. Because, like they say, one man's meat could be another man's poison.
Exactly.
What happens, what works in one environment may not necessarily work in the other one. But again, the more conversations we have, the more you'll be told about Muarobaine and other different solutions which you can then now explore on your own and try and find which one works best for you. But let's not be in a situation like we are encountering and that is happening in this particular time. One of the biggest problems in this country today is social isolation. The concepts of loneliness and isolation. People are dying in their houses alone because they have, it just became too much. And this has particularly been made even worse by these things they are calling the pandemic and the way it has manifested itself. Already, this was a very lonely society. It is very easy to find yourself on your own. Very, very easy. It makes you vulnerable. If you are already isolated before, and now this thing has come that has made you even now completely isolated, you have to understand this problem is a bit bigger, and it is part of the challenges that we have to discuss, talk about. I am sure we have among our ranks people who are more qualified and more skilled and educated in the areas of social welfare and social being. There are people who are more qualified than I to tell us or even suggest what can or cannot be done, what works or doesn't work. But these conversations have to happen. I'm an advocate of let's talk, let's start talking, let's create the forums or the platforms where we can begin to articulate, even if not to necessarily provide answers. It is one thing to assess where you are, and a correct analysis of where you are is very critical for you in finding a correct answer for how to best deal with your problem. And it is also very helpful to know that maybe what you are going through, you are not alone. Maybe there's others who are struggling with the same issues. And when you are alone, your problem looks very big. But the moment you learn somebody else is having exactly the same problem, you feel as if yours has become small. So the more we talk, the more we can create these situations. And I'm not saying we must have one big national conversation. I'm saying we can have small groups operating in their respective areas, comfortable discussing areas and groups, where we can then now try and see if we can put a thread through all those groups to create one national conversation which is being held at the local levels, where people can communicate, where they respect each other, they can help each other. And then those small groups can reach out as groups like we are doing here. When a topic is raised, it is being raised by someone who is not necessarily talking about themselves. They may be talking about someone they know or someone in their community. But the more we can converse as a group, the more we can come up with maybe not necessarily solutions, but maybe even possible solutions.
Absolutely.
And like they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. So thank you again for that comment, and it's very valid and very legitimate. And I do not profess or say that I have the answers or the solutions, but I believe that there is among our people and among our ranks, we have a very huge and very experienced resource. We have people who are skilled in areas that you can't even begin to imagine. And we can have conversations that can yield very, very nice and very positive outcomes that can hopefully help us to deal with and to dismantle and to tackle the challenges that we are facing as a group. So thank you so much again, Mr. Jerome.
Wow, where does time go? Like you say, this is not a topic for a 1 day, 2 sessions, 3 sessions. We need more of this, and I think this is the only way that people will continue opening up. People will feel, this is there is a place for them. There is a safe place for them where we can come and discuss. And like you say, not as experts, but just sharing ideas, sharing our thoughts and our, inputs from different sources, because you do not know what somebody else is going through. And once again, Bwana Ndungu, I really appreciate your time as a community person, coming here and sharing, pouring out your thoughts and ideas for the sake of our community, because we really have to safeguard. We really have to see a better tomorrow. We have to think of in whose hands are we leaving our dear sons, and especially our sons, because our sons will make up the homes tomorrow. Who will marry our daughters if we don't prepare these young men? So as we come to the end now, what is your parting shot? Because I know you're coming back.
I was going to allude to the ongoing story of Mr. Floyd in America.
Uh-huh.
I think anyone who watches the news is aware of the painful circumstances in which Mr. Floyd lost his life. Yeah, but I am my focus here is more on what the community there has been able to achieve by being together, by standing up and speaking for him. Remember, he's not able to speak for himself anymore. And even if he could speak for himself, he wouldn't be able to say much. But his community has stood by his family, and they have made a statement that the world cannot ignore George Floyd at all. We are now talking about the systems of governance being brought to bear by the activities of two people.
Yes.
Two people in a small village who did something that created a problem. A policeman who felt that was his training, and a man who just had the mistake of being, like me, tall, dark, and maybe looking a bit intimidating. That was the only offense he committed.
Tall, dark.
Now, so don't be afraid. It's okay. We look suspicious, but we are good people. we trying to do the good stuff. But the problem with him is that he is big and he looks a bit intimidating, So
like you are tall.
Yeah. So let's not keep quiet. And as a community, let's also take care of our George Floyds in our community.
Yes.
Let's come together. Let's deal with the issues we need to deal with. There's a lot of things that you cannot deal with on your own as an individual. The Floyd family, as his brother said the other day, as a family, there's not much they could have done. But with the great and outpouring support that they got from their community and from their society, this issue has now become a very important and decisive issue in how race relations and how governance and institutional operations will be done in the future of their country. And equally, we do not want to wait until such a day for us to deal with our issues. Let us also start, even if we start in a smaller way. This is our obligation, this is our duty, and let's rise up to it. There are some risks and things can go wrong, but let's not be afraid of that. Let's move from a point of strength rather than from a point of weakness. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Wow, you know what? We can never ever have enough of this. And more so because it's been a topic that has been ignored, or if it's been tackled, it's in a kind of a hidden or quiet manner. But guess what? We have decided to come out in the open and have this open talk. We really want to appreciate you, Bwana Ndungu, for coming out. And I can see the demand has been laid there. I don't even have to say anything. So we will try and also get somebody else to challenge, because it gets sweeter when you are 2, 3 asking questions. But I cannot thank you enough. And I can tell you that through your talks, I've had so many comments, the feedback I get, and this one also, I allude that to the lack of confidence, you said, because when people write to me in the inbox, I do challenge them. I tell them, why didn't you write what you thought on that forum, and they feel they still don't have that confidence. So these talks, just like, is it Bananjaroga who said, or Bogwa, who said next time, because now I think it's coming to a point where they feel they would like to engage. So we want to appreciate you. We really want to, we do not have the words to appreciate you, because it's a topic, once again, that needs to be tackled carefully, handled with a lot of sensitivity. But it's a high time we came out and said it as it is. Something needs to be said, but after that, something needs to be done. Action.
Thank you so much, Councillor Elizabeth. It's my joy and privilege to be able to even share the few words that I can. I hope if we can achieve just one or two people to start thinking about the things we are talking about, for me, I would consider that to be a lot of success. And I would consider that to be the beginnings or the starting of a community or a people. When you start thinking about those things, there'll be an effect. And one small drop in the ocean can create ripple effects that can go very, very fast. So thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Once again, viewers, this has been our Friday Beacon of Hope program, special program with our guest, Matthew Ndungu, all the way from Scotland. And our topic, like I said, is challenges Kenyan African men in diaspora face. And it's been such a pleasure and a privilege to host Bwana Ndungu, and all of you who have been watching, who have been following, who have been commenting, who have been asking questions. And guess what? This is not the end. There's more to that, because we need to tackle this as Kenyan Africans in the diaspora, Kenyan African men. We need to tackle this. We need to speak up. We need to get together. We need to go to the root cause of what is not working, so that we get things working. And we need to act. And we can only act if we are united. So I want to come to an end, to bring this to a close. I know we've gone past the time that we normally do, but I can see you are all there, because it is such an interesting topic. So we are saying goodbye from me. This is your host of Beacon of Hope Friday special program, Councillor Elizabeth Kangebe, and we always end with reminding you that my supporters, I've got the tap money send taps app, which if you download, you will send money to Kenya. And I checked today, they still have the highest rate of exchange compared to others. And again, if you use my promo code LIZ254, LIZ254, you get £10 on top of your first transaction. You can't get any better. And there's no hidden fees at all. There's no charges. So that's the best way to send our money. I know people are sending money. This is month end. This is Easter weekend. Tuma kambuzi kidogo. Buy something for your people. Use tap send. And you always get the best rate of exchange. So, karibu. And tomorrow we have a BOH family program with Bishop BK. On Sunday, we have the Easter Sunday service in Kikuyu at 3 p.m. just for an hour. And then on Tuesdays, we have the special program on leadership versus management by Bishop BK. I quickly remind you again, COVID is not yet over. Stay safe. Keep your social distance. Just because you see other people not wearing their masks does not mean you shouldn't. Just because they think it is good, it should not be good for you. And my sincere condolences to the many people we have lost in Kenya, and particularly the clergy. Let us stay safe. We are remembering them, but let us keep safe. Let us keep the social distance. Wash your hands. Get the vaccine when it's due. You know what? Today I was showing off. I said I've had my second vaccine. And if I've done it and no, I don't have anything, and I did it today. I had my second one today. That does not mean I'll not be wearing my mask when I go out, but at least the percentage of protection is higher. So get your COVID vaccine when it's your time. Keep safe. Let us protect each other. Save an NHS. Please, let's stay safe. Once again, it's Elizabeth Kangebe, Councillor Elizabeth Kangebe, Mrs. Bishop BK, your host of Beacon of Hope. God bless you.
Niaje wase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Too mucky too.